Welcome to the Steve and Bethany podcast.
It's your weekly dose of hope, encouragement, and a whole lot of fun.
All right, let's get to it.
It's episode 33.
Welcome in, Hope Dealers from around the world. We are glad that you're here. It's Steve, it's Bethany, it's the Hopecast, and we are thrilled to be with you. And notice, no more fire, no more inferno.
Listen, it looked a little intense last week.
It was.
We'll say that. We'll admit to it.
It was, yeah. I mean, I think a lot of people was even distracted by the fire. They couldn't focus on what we were saying. So,
well, the intention was good. We wanted to make it seem really cozy and Christmassy. So this week I just settled on wearing like kind of a Christmas flannel.
Yeah.
That's what I landed on.
So we won't have the fire again. So we'll make sure we'll just keep the
Or if
logo
we
back
do,
there.
maybe we'll just do like a candle.
Yeah,
you think that
maybe
would be
so.
better? A little
Maybe-
bit smaller
maybe so.
flame.
Yeah, and because, we don't want like the fire department called or the sprinklers going off overhead.
Exactly,
Or anything
yeah.
Like that. So, but thank you for watching last week. We had a lot of people respond to that, even though they were saying it looked like you were burning the place down.
Yep.
It was still responsive, so we're
Still a
counting it
good
as
episode.
positive.
Yeah, exactly. And while we have your attention before we get into the episode, we want to just remind you to be sure to go and give a 5-star rating if you listen on Apple Podcasts. That's been, I think, by far the most popular way that people are listening is through Apple. And so if you're listening that way, be sure to go there and leave a 5-star rating, because that really helps us get our name out there more. And when people are listening to maybe inspirational Christian podcasts, it will allow our podcast to pop up as like a suggested one to listen to. And so it really helps with their algorithm getting our name just out there more. So if you want to help us spread the word, be sure to go do that.
Yeah, a lot of people did it last week.
Yeah.
So please continue to do that. It does help us out greatly with the standings like Bethany was talking about. So that's really cool. And another thing I got about some feedback about is what we talked about with the kind of being kind, when we started the episode. And I was saying to you and to everybody watching and listening that, if we're not the people to be kind, who's going to do it?
Right.
Right. We as Christ followers, we as people who are supposed to be the example of Jesus to others, if we're not stepping up to the plate, then man, we're missing it. Right.
Yeah.
So here's what happened to me. I got an update.
Okay.
So the other night, after going through that whole rant that I did,
Right.
I decided, the wife and I and the whole family decided, well, it's too late to cook supper. We're just going to order out. We haven't done this in a long time. We're going to order Mexican food from across town, and we'll have it delivered. Take a little while, but we'll be okay. Right?
Okay.
Because it's late. So I get the app out, start taking the menu, and then once I look at the price, I tell my wife, this is a little more than we want to spend. Plus, it's going to take an additional hour to get here, and it's already late. So what do we want to do? Do we want to do this or not? So we had a little debate about that. Finally, we came to the conclusion, okay, look, we're going to pivot. We're not going to go Mexican food across town. We'll go to Italian food down the street. I'll go pick it up. So it'll take a lot less time, and we'll be in and out just like that.
Right.
So I do that. So I grab my phone. I go to the Italian place's website. We get the orders out, everything. It gives me a choice. Do I want to pay now or do I want to pay when I pick up? I say I'll pay when I pick up. So I click that option, and it says, your food will be ready in 10 minutes. I'm like, fantastic. Because all I've got to do is go get my shoes on, grab my keys. I'm out the door.
Right.
I'm there in 10 minutes. Tops.
Yeah.
I mean, it's literally down the street. So I get there, and again, this is pretty late for dinner time meal.
Yeah.
Already. And so I get there, couple of people in line ahead of me. No big deal. Just going to be waiting patiently. I'll be fine. Finally gets my turn after a good 10-minute wait. So, and I thought, well, okay, now it's been more than the 10 minutes for sure. It's
Right,
been
so it'll
like 15.
definitely be ready.
It's definitely ready.
Right.
It's piping hot. It's just ready for me to pick up and take to my loving, waiting family for dinner. I get there, and the lady behind the counter says, okay, what's the name under? And I said, well, it's under Steve. So she looks through it and says, could it be under another name? That's the kiss of death. Whenever you get that, you're going to have problems. I said, well, I did order online. She goes, oh, you ordered online. Well, let me go check over here. Comes back, it's not there.
Oh, no.
And I'm like, oh, you got to be kidding me. And she said, now, here's what we can do. I can take your order, put you to the front of the line. It'll take maybe 20 minutes or so to get ready, but we'll have it and you'll be out the door as soon as we can get it done. Well, my first response was, if I'd have gone to the Mexican place,
I'd be back by
I'd
now.
already be
Yeah.
back by now. The delivery, well, actually, it's the delivery place. They would have had it there by now.
Yeah.
We would have been eating chips and salsa up to our elbows, right? You know?
Right.
The second thing that popped into my mind was, you just went on this big rant on the podcast about not being upset with people.
Yeah.
You know, now you're going to
No,
have to.
don't talk about stuff that you don't want to be like having to actually live out.
Exactly. Exactly. So I said, you know what? Stuff happens. This is not my plan, whatever. But you know what? Go ahead and do that.
Yeah.
In fact, I'll go ahead and pay for it now. And the lady was like, okay, here's what you can do. If you want to, if you would like to wait in your car, we will even bring it out to your car for you. I said, okay, that's great. And so after this long rigmarole that should have just taken, I was planning on less than 10 minutes, in and out, back home, eating a wonderful pasta dinner, turned into this big ordeal that's almost an hour in, right?
Are you serious?
Yeah,
An
it was
hour in?
about close. Yeah, it was close before I got home with it.
Good night.
And so, but I thought, if it's not me,
Yeah.
who's it going to be?
Right.
And so I did. I had to swallow that kind of, and it wasn't really anger.
Yeah.
It was just frustration. Yes,
Yeah,
just the frustration of the situation. I had to swallow that and realize it's not their fault. They didn't mess up. And even if they did, you got to be the bigger person. You got to say it's okay. And not that it's okay that it happened, but the way you handle it. It's just like Mom always said, it's not what you say, it's how you say it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not about being a doormat. It's not about letting people take advantage of you, but it is about showing kindness.
Well, and the fact is too, you can't change the fact that this happened.
Yeah.
Like you showed up, your food wasn't ready. That
Right.
happened. So what's the next step? Because I think a lot of the time when people get frustrated, it's like they want to go back in time and change something. And that isn't reality. You can't do that. And so it's about looking at the current situation, the reality in front of you and going, all right, well, how am I going to respond? And how can I reflect Christ to the people behind the counter that messed up my order or didn't get my order at all? Like, kind of choosing that route rather than, well, you guys need to overhaul your website because clearly you're not getting that, and instead of just going on a rant or really making somebody's night terrible and affecting them in that way, it's about, all right, well, I can't change the fact that you guys didn't get my order, so let's take this next path.
Exactly. And that's exactly the way you've got to handle it because you're exactly right. I could have made that person feel miserable. I could have gone on a rant about it because they didn't have it right, But how many times have I messed up stuff?
Yeah.
How many times at work when I should have probably gotten reamed out for something that I didn't?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just about showing grace. So the encouragement, the moral lesson of the story is, from your Uncle Steve here, is that you've got to practice kindness. I've got to practice kindness, because again, if we don't do it, who's going to?
Well, and also in the grand scheme of things, it's an hour of your life.
Right.
I mean,
exactly.
Your life is much bigger than just in that moment. My father-in-law uses this illustration of, I don't think it's original with him, but it's a piece of string, and he would paint about that much of the string bright red. And he said, this part, the red part, that's your life. The rest of the string, that's eternity. Your life is very short, and big things happen and small things happen, but how you act here and what you do and the decisions that you make and who you put your trust in determines the rest of eternity for you. And I think that kind of puts things in perspective for me when things are frustrating or annoying or when just life happens and it gets overwhelming of life is short. These things are not going to last forever. These minor annoyances are not going to last forever. I don't need to overreact or kind of just bring on these negative emotions and just get frustrated about stuff.
And I think it's so helped me to have had that conversation with you and with the audience beforehand. I was mentally prepared for it. You know what I mean? I think
it's fresh on the brain.
Yeah, if you get it in your head, okay, look, I'm going to try not to react when these things happen instead of waiting to be in the moment, could help you out.
For sure.
Before we continue on, we want to tell you that the Stephen Bethany's Hopecast is brought to you, as always, proudly by our man, Pat Davis, yourhealthplanman.com. Let me ask you this question, Miss Bethany.
All right.
Okay, so let's say you and your husband, Cody, are in need of a vehicle.
Okay.
And you go to the car lot, you pick out the one you want, and you say, okay, this is the one we really like. It meets all of our needs. How much is it? and the salesman says, hey, you know what? Go ahead and take it, drive it, keep it for 6 weeks, and we'll send you a bill. What do you think about that?
Sounds a little sketchy.
Yeah,
I don't like
doesn't
that.
it? Well, that's exactly the way a lot of our healthcare plans
yeah.
operate. Because how many times do you go to a doctor's appointment or a doctor's visit, and then you turn around and you think, I don't know how much is this going to cost, and you get a bill back, and your eyes, bug out of your head because you're like, holy cow, what's going on with this?
What is this? Yeah.
Right? Is the insurance going to pay for this? How much is going to be left over that I'm going to have to pay?
Right.
All those questions. Pat Davis has a better option for you. It's yourhealthplanman.com. You check it out and look at how he can put you back in control of your health care.
Well, really, because that is what Pat is all passionate about, is putting people back in control. I think that's what's so frustrating about health insurance, is that you feel like you're kind of at the mercy of these big corporate companies, and you just kind of are left to deal with the fallout, whatever that might be financially. But Pat really wants to make sure that you are able to be a part of the plan that works best for your family, that fits your needs the best. That's what he wants to do, and that's what you can be a part of when you go to yourhealthplanman.com. So be sure to set up a time just to talk with Pat. Even if it doesn't work out for you, if there's not a plan that fits your family perfectly, no harm, no foul. Like, Pat just wants to talk with you, share a little bit, and then if it doesn't work out, that's completely okay.
That's right. Check him out. It's Pat Davis, yourhealthplanman.com. I promise you, it'll be worth your time just to sit down and figure it out. Yourhealthplanman.com.
Well, friends, we'll be getting into the topic of this episode here in just a minute, but for our patrons, I want to make sure that you know about the Aftercast. Right after we finish this episode, we have a little bonus segment where we share a story. This week, I'll be talking about the first Christmas that my husband, Cody, and I spent together. We were dating at the time. We were not married yet. We'd been dating maybe like a month and a half at this point. So it was our first Christmas together, exchanging gifts, and I was left feeling pretty stupid. So
Were you really?
Yeah. So I'll be sharing that story about what all happened.
I don't know that I know this story.
Surely you do.
Maybe so.
Maybe not. Maybe I felt stupid, so maybe I didn't tell you.
Maybe I don't know, but don't call me Shirley.
Well,
We need where's the drums? Where's the sound effect?
I don't know. I'll
All right,
find
yeah,
it.
we need to fix that in post.
We'll add that later.
We'll add that later. Well, today's episode is going to kind of harken back to an episode we did a few episodes ago, back in episode 26, which is
watch in the archives.
Yes, is songs, or what do we call it?
Songs of Salvation.
No,
right?
That's not what we call it.
Yes,
Music,
we did.
Music that speaks.
I thought you called it Songs of Salvation.
No, look, Jarvis is nodding his head. It's music that speaks.
No, you nod only for me. Don't nod for him.
Music that speaks was the name of the episode.
Where did I get that from?
I don't know. But anyway.
Anyways.
What we thought would be fun is to throw it out on our Facebook group, which, by the way, is growing like leaps and bounds. It's really pretty cool. We've been searching for a way to interact on social media, and I think we finally found a platform.
Super fun.
Yeah. So anyway, we threw it out there. What was some of your favorite Christmas songs and why? That kind of thing. So we're going to be getting to that. Jarvis Jr. over there has got some of those. We'll pull it up here and we'll go through them here in just a second. But what about you? Let's start with you. What are some of your favorite Christmas songs? Like for instance, an older one, like a traditional one versus a newer one. What do you got?
Okay, for just nostalgia's sake, Amy Grant's entire Christmas album is very nostalgic for me because I have very clear memories of decorating the tree as a little kid, like maybe 6 or 7 years old. And I would listen to her Christmas album while I would decorate. I would help my mom put the tree up and hang up the ornaments and everything, and we would always play that album. So that album is nostalgic for me. Anything by Bing Crosby, White Christmas, in that whole movie and all the music that went with it is very nostalgic for me. But on more of a more current music, I really love Phil Wickham has a Christmas album. I think it came out last year, and it has Joy to the World, but it goes into he blends it with a couple different songs, and so it's a really, really unique take on a very traditional song, Joy to the World. It's excellent. So his whole Christmas album is really good, but that's probably my favorite song on the album.
Well, we need to link to that because I haven't heard that.
We'll link it in the show notes.
We'll put it in the show notes.
It's a good
for
song.
sure. Yeah, I say Phil Wickham usually does a phenomenal job.
And his Christmas album is so good.
Really?
It's excellent. You need to listen to it.
That kind of dovetails into what I was thinking about for mine was because Lauren Daigle released
her
that
Christmas album.
a few years
Yeah.
ago. You know, she's from South Louisiana, and so that's kind of in the birthplace of jazz. And so it's all kind of an old school feel,
Right.
very jazzy, very kind of just mellow kind of theme throughout the whole thing. And
Yeah.
from Jingle Bells, even, you know, you just think about Jingle Bells being really up tempo, really fun. And this one is, but it's that
It's
kind
a
of feel.
different kind of it's a good feel though. It feels very old school and old jazz is how it sounds. I like that album.
Yeah, it's really good. So the whole album, start to finish, is very good, I think. And then also, I was thinking about "Oh Holy Night." When I hear that song, the words of it just really kind of capture me because it's such great theology in that. You know, it's like, to me, it's a hymn.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you think about the tradition. You don't sing it any other time than Christmas time, but really, I mean, it's got these magnificent words about the Savior being born. And
Yeah.
it's just powerful to me. And probably the best version of it, at least for my money, is David Phelps. You know, the guy that used to sing with the Gaither Vocal
He's
Band.
so good. Okay, this is hilarious that you brought this up because on Thanksgiving we celebrated with my mother-in-law's family the night before Thanksgiving on Wednesday night, and we're all hanging around in the living room, and then my husband's grandma brought up the Gaither Vocal Band, and she loves to sing, she loves music, and so she brought up "Oh Holy Night" from David Phelps, and we watched him sing it in concert.
Really?
And she was just raving about it. She was like, isn't he just incredible? And it had been a while since I had listened to anything by David Phelps. I mean, I grew up listening to Gaither Vocal Band when I was a kid, but it had been a while since I heard him sing. And I was like, shoot, he is good. Like,
Goosebumps,
you
wasn't it?
forget how good he is and how talented he is. And so, yeah, it's such a good song.
Yeah, and he did such a phenomenal job on that. I mean, just in general, I love that song, but especially he takes it up to a higher notch.
Oh, yeah,
for sure.
he's incredible.
And then there's one that's a little bit obscure, which I know you'll love this because it's from my guy, Stephen Curtis Chapman.
Obviously.
Yeah.
Man Crush Monday every day for Steve.
Well, it's true. It's true. But he released a Christmas album several years ago.
Yeah.
And he had a song on it called This Baby. And basically it talks about Jesus being a normal kid growing up. But this baby made the angels sing. This baby taught a new star to shine in the sky.
Yeah.
The whole thing like that. And it's about Jesus being both a child that grows up into a man, human and divine, all at the same time. And it's really a great song. I mean, it's a wonderfully told little story from beginning to end.
That's like classic Stephen Curtis Chapman, too.
It really
the story
is.
songs.
It really is.
Yeah.
And so we'll link to that one too for you because I really want you to hear that one. That one is kind of off the beaten path a little bit, a little deep cut for you. But it just speaks to my heart every time I hear it because it's like so simple because it just tells the story of Jesus growing up. But it's like, this is so good.
This is kind of an obscure question.
Okay.
But is there a Christmas song that you absolutely hate? Like that you cannot listen to?
Yeah, I didn't want to go there, but yeah, Christmas shoes. Oh my gosh.
Oh, no, that
Yeah.
breaks you.
No, yeah,
You
no,
can't.
I can't go Christmas shoes
Forgot
at all.
about that song.
No.
If you have not listened to the Christmas shoes, don't.
Yeah, right,
Because
right.
you will bawl your eyes out.
And
That's traumatic. It's a traumatic song.
And for me, when it was so popular at one time,
Yeah.
we ran the needle through it, as you used to say.
Yeah.
And so
I can
it's just
see
like,
that.
if I don't hear it again, I'm okay, you know? But the
Yeah.
Christmas shoes song is probably one. Do you have one?
I'm forgetting who sings it, but there's one. I don't even know what song it is. I can hear it, but I forget who sings it and I forget what it's called. But it has like kids talking at the beginning of it, and it's really obnoxious, like high pitched. It's an old song, I think from like the 40s or 50s, but it's high pitched children talking, and then
Really?
it goes into singing, and then they talk some more, and then they sing some more.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know what song it is.
I don't know.
Anyways, I heard it a couple times on the radio, and I've never stuck around long enough to figure out what song it is. Because I'll hear it a couple times, and I'm like, no, what is that? So, yeah. Oh, man, that's not a good answer, though.
Well, we threw it out for our Facebook group, and Jarvis Jr. is over there monitoring our Facebook group page. And so what's just some of the ones that have come across there for you as far as Christmas songs from our listeners that really spoke to them?
Kevin said Noel by Lauren Daigle.
There you
She
go.
sings Noel, Noel, come and see what God has done. The tears begin to flow.
Aww.
Oh, wow. Yeah,
Sweet.
it really
That is a really good song.
Okay, Here's a little quick. I didn't know that was coming up. Here's a little fun fact for you. Do you know what Noel means? Anybody? Bueller?
No.
Okay.
I feel like I've heard this.
Okay, because in Hebrew, the el, in like Spanish, el is like the or
Yeah.
the. Well, el in Hebrew means God. So anything that ends in el or begins in el is God. No.
Oh, like El
apparently-
Shaddai, like that.
Very good.
Okay.
Now, apparently, no in this context means birth. So it's birth of God. So the first Noel or born of God. Same kind of difference,
Okay.
one or the other.
Gotcha.
Kind of feel to it.
That's cool.
So the first Noel, first born
Look
of
at
God,
you.
kind of thing like that. I know. You see,
Little
aren't you
fun
glad
fact.
aren't you glad you listened to
You're
the podcast
full of little
today?
little tidbits.
I am. I'm full of a lot of stuff.
Little
All right,
things,
Jarvis
yeah.
Jr. What's the next one?
Lisa said Santa baby with like 5 laughing faces.
That's my cousin Lisa, by the way.
Okay, also Santa Baby, that's another thing that gets on my nerves. That's a song I don't like. It's so entitled. I'm like, first of all, who are you to call Santa Baby? Like, that's a little gross. He's an old man and he's married. And also, you're just like listing off all these things that you want.
Yeah,
no.
well, I
A little
know.
entitled.
Now, before we get back to the, I'm sure you've probably heard it. My daughter, when I asked her,
Yeah.
she said mistletoe from Justin Bieber.
Oh, no, stop.
You don't like that song?
No,
I've never heard it.
I've heard it.
Do you
but
like it? Look, Jarvis Jr.
He likes it.
No, he doesn't like it.
Oh. I think he's a.
You
no,
can
he's-
speak into the microphone there.
I definitely do not like that song.
Okay.
no,
I've never heard it.
I think he's a closet fan of Justin Bieber. I think.
I've never heard it. All right,
It's okay. You can be yourself here.
What's next?
Mary Catherine said for King and Country's arrangement of Little Drummer Boy.
Oh, that is really good.
Okay. All right. You did say a song that you're.
We played that a lot.
Okay.
I
No,
will
it's
say.
not so much that we played it. It's just the fact I just don't like it. I don't get it.
I thought it was
I have
good.
no, I don't care who does it. I mean, Bob Seger, for crying out loud, recorded it. I don't get the song.
Was the Silver Bullet Band a part of it?
Yes, of course they were.
Everybody?
Yes. I mean,
What do you mean you don't get it?
Okay. All right. It's a little poor kid.
Yeah.
Bringing a drum to meet Jesus. Okay. Well, one of the lines is the ox and lamb kept time. That's what a drummer does. What are you talking about? I just the song itself, it just never
Yeah.
has made sense to me. And I'm just like, why?
Yeah.
And so many people love it. And I don't get it. It's one of those things, the cool kids now are doing unpopular opinions
Yeah.
on like social media. There's
Little
mine.
Drummer Boy.
Little Drummer Boy, I don't like.
I will say I saw a meme on Instagram a couple weeks ago that was talking about basically like where's this kid's parents? They're just making him drum outside.
Well, right. Well, because
Like-
see, he's not even a part of the magi that come.
Yeah.
Because he's a poor boy and he just has a drum. Everybody else, the magi's got frankincense, gold, and myrrh. The little drummer boy
Now
just
that
has his drum.
Now that I'm
this is
thinking about
ridiculous.
it, this does not make sense.
It does. See?
Lyrically, we're not going to do a deep dive into the lyrics, but we kind of are.
We kind of
and
already
it doesn't
have.
make sense.
Yeah.
I can see that.
All right, next one. Do we have another one?
Yes. Let's see. Quite a few people. Donna, Mandy, they all said, Mary, did you know?
Oh, okay.
Okay, the Pentatonics version of Mary Did You Know is excellent.
Yeah.
It's really good.
But my whole thing on pentatonics, especially the
That
bass
you should have
singer.
been a part
Well,
of it.
no, how hard is it to be the bass singer of pentatonics?
Okay, this is a little side note. Steve probably 2 years ago told me, he's like, I could have been in Pentatonics if I really wanted to. And I said, no, they're incredibly talented a cappella singers. That's not you. And he's like, no, I could be the bass guy that just goes boom, boom, boom.
Sure. In fact, that whole video you're talking about, available for Patreon.
I feel
for
like
patrons.
they do more than just do the like boom, boom. I feel like the bass singers
You
do a
feel
little
like
more
they
than
do,
that.
but I really don't think that they do.
I think that they do.
The other people, I totally agree. I could fill in. No, if I were to fill in at a gig, they should call me. Nobody would know the difference. Nobody. Nobody would know the difference.
All right.
Anything else, Jarvis?
Yes, Richard said, let all mortal flesh keep silent by Focus, which
I don't
I
think
have
I've
no
heard
idea
that.
who that is.
Yeah, I haven't heard that.
I don't know. I think that's an old hymn, though. An old
I think
Christmas
so
hymn.
too.
But I'm not sure about one. We'll have to
We're gonna have to
investigate
Google
that one too.
We're gonna have just like a whole listening session. I'll play "Mistletoe" by Justin Bieber
Yeah,
for you.
yeah. Maybe
And
that's
then-
a bonus episode for Patreon.
There we go.
Maybe so.
Maybe
See,
so.
it's always working. So anyway, that was fun. We'll do another episode of of songs, music that speaks in a couple of months. We'll
Well,
give it a while and let some more people chime in.
And I always love doing episodes like this because I think it's so interesting. Like everybody's musical experience is so different and so diverse, and like different songs that people connect with, other people hear differently. You know what I mean? Like I'm sure there's some people that don't like the Amy Grant Christmas album. For me, it's super nostalgic and I love it. And so I love hearing what everybody thinks and how songs have impacted them differently. It's cool.
Okay, before we continue on here on the Steve and Bethany's Hopecast, let's talk about T-shirts for Bibles, because it's really continuing on like gangbusters. It really is doing well.
It's been a really cool thing to see just people respond and give so generously and want to be a part of this. This was an idea that Steve came up with like a month or two ago, maybe, of just, hey, what if with the proceeds from people buying T-shirts from our website, if we use that to buy Bibles for people all around the world, people that don't have them. And you gave me a stat last week of just talking about the percentage of people around the world that don't have Bibles, and it's shocking. I think about my house and how many Bibles I have just around, and I don't even think about it of, I have this Bible from when I was a kid, this one was a gift, that kind of thing. And it's something that we definitely take for granted, but a lot of people around the world don't have the Bible in their own language or a completed, version of the Bible. And so that is something that you can be a part of. Be sure to go to stephenbethany.com. T's for Bibles, it's kind of front on the website, just right at the homepage. So click on that. You can pick out a T-shirt, buy that, and then with that purchase, a Bible is going to be sent to someone who doesn't have one.
Yeah, and here's the thing. Don't misunderstand. We do have our logo, but that's not all we have.
Right.
We have tons of other designs. You've come up with a bunch. I have a few.
I made a few more girlier options because I was looking and I was like, because Steve did most of the grunt work on this, and they're good. But they were kind of masculine. And I was like, I'm going to make this a little girly.
No,
so I came up with some more like female-y designs.
You have done awesome with
Thank
it. So,
you.
yes, they all look really good. And I think you'll be proud to wear them.
Yeah.
And then also the bonus fact that we're actually putting God's word into people's hands that desperately want it and need it. What more can you ask for?
Awesome.
So, again, check it out. StephenBethany.com. It's T's for Bibles.
Okay, so while we were taking a pause between segments here, we were talking, and I had completely forgotten about this. I can't believe I haven't told you this, but my father-in-law, Jerry, is one of my favorite people in the world, and he is so, so funny. And there's there's all of these different quirks and little things about him that just make him one of my favorite people. And I got a text from him a couple weeks ago, and I get this text every year around Christmas. Within a few weeks of Christmas, I, without fail, get this text from Jerry, and this is what it says. What's that song I like? And it's every year, Jerry forgets what his favorite Christmas song is. And it's Christmas Canon by Trans-Siberian Orchestra. It starts with like the little kids singing, and it goes into all these violins and all this stuff. Well, Jerry loves that song, but he forgets the name of it every year. So he plays it for like a month straight, forgets about it. 11 months later, next Christmas, he needs to know what it is again. And so without fail, I get that text from him, and I got it. This year, I got it on November 22nd. So he was getting into the spirit a little early, but he texted me and just said, "What's that Christmas song I like?" And I sent him the YouTube link and said, "It's this one." And he goes, "Thanks."
That is so funny. Now, is that kind of the relationship you guys have? Is it like this shorthand that he can just say, "What's that song I like?"
Yeah.
And then you know exactly what he's talking about?
Yeah. He jokingly, like, he was making fun of me one day, just giving me a hard time. And I told him, I said, "Jerry, you just treat me terribly. Like, you just give me such a hard time." And I was just, making fun of him and all that. And he goes, "I've never made fun of you a day in my life. What are you talking about?" I said, "Jerry, I'm pretty much your fourth son at this point. Like, you just give me such a hard time and tease me so much." And so there's a fun relationship there for sure. He's the best.
Well, that's great. That's really pretty cool. But I love the fact that he could just say, "Hey, what's that song
I like?" Yeah.
And you know exactly. And you don't even have to think.
But the thing
it's
is,
just like, oh, here it is.
If he would have texted me in like July, it would have thrown me off. But we're within, November, we're within the Christmas music realm. Yeah,
Right.
I know exactly what song he's talking about.
That's so funny. We mentioned this a little bit earlier, but what we've been doing the podcast 7 months now, 8 months, something like that.
Yeah.
Where
Years.
Right. It feels like it underwater, like you say sometimes, right? Where we've tried different platforms for interaction, and some of them gone, okay. Some of them are just like, no,
Right.
not at all. But we found that the Facebook group is working really well. In fact, that's
been
where
really
we got
cool.
all the questions and answers today from, is our group. So it's one of these private groups. I still don't understand the whole logic of this because it's private. But we want
like,
everybody to
everybody's in
join.
it, yeah.
We don't have any like real restrictions. We just want you to join, even
Yeah.
though it's a private group. So anyway, we'd love
know.
for you to go to our website. In fact, we'll link it in the show notes and join us on the group because we put memes out all the time. We put videos out. And what's cool is people are actually posting besides us.
Yeah.
It's becoming a community.
Yeah, for sure. And that's really what the goal is with all of this
Yeah.
is to be a community and to just as believers encourage each other and put things out that are just inspirational and lift each other up. That's what we want to do.
And fun. We
And
got a
fun
lot of
stuff.
silly, goofy stuff too.
Plenty of silly stuff on there. So be sure to join the group because I think that's a great way to not just support the Hopecast, but also to connect with other believers.
Absolutely. And I think we're done with episode 33.
Is that it?
I think so.
It's a wrap.
That's a wrap. Good night, Olive Branch.